This is Carrie Cassidy from Project Camelot, and we are recording this. I advise everyone who's listening to record this as well. We're talking to MT Keshe, and he is an Iranian, originally a nuclear engineer, and has been working in both Belgium and now in Italy on free energy, and we're going to be talking all about that. His life is in danger, and so this is a very important broadcast. And I do want people to know that his documents are available, and there is a link here on the screen. If you're looking at live stream right now, you should see the link on there. I've posted it to Facebook. My website has been taken down. My webmaster Tommy just uploaded those documents to our website 1 hour ago, and the website was taken down, but that link, which is on the cloud, as you can see by the name of the link, you'll see it says Project Camelot Portal, Cloud, Data, Public, and that is a place where you can download his information. This is information about free energy. Obviously, they don't want it out there. His life has been threatened. I have received an email from Ralph Ring, and many people will know Ralph Ring, the Ralph Ring interview on Project Camelot, and very close. I'm going to basically see if I can read a bit of it here. He has put out to, I guess, his, it looks like to his website or to his audience, Ralph Ring being a free energy activist, inventor from way back, has now been is endorsing Keshe's work and putting this email out in support of Keshe. There is some description here, and from what I can tell, and it's kind of complex. So what I'll do is, Keshe, I want you to see this email. So I will you still be able to get email at your end, I wonder?
You can send it to my private account. Wins has it.
Okay. Well, at this moment, since we're live, if it's a private account, I suppose you don't want it broadcast, correct?
No, please.
Okay. Well, then let me. What I'm going to do is post this here.
Don't forget that. So let me explain to you that my Keshe Foundation account was hacked over 3 months ago.
Oh.
And they downloaded about 30,000 emails. We don't destroy any emails on our website, on our, on our emails. And we've been monitoring what they're doing with it. They've been reading it. And on what they have been reading, they're trying to organize what we call a kangaroo court, and at the same time for me, my kidnapping and hostage my wife, and then all sorts of things which is planned for my child. We are monitoring the whole system. The Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers will be kept in the dark, and apparently I'm to disappear for a long time. And my wife, in presence of me, we are supposed to witness the torture of our child till we stop the process. We are very much into this. Our security people are aware of it. They are negotiating for my life between 2 or 3 governments. They are monitoring it very closely. There are people within their organization who does not agree and releasing information to us in an indirect way. So we are fully aware of the danger, and if any time I do not appear within 24 hours, somebody doesn't hear from me, the members of the knowledge seekers continuously announce when they have seen me last or they know of my presence. If I'm disappeared and you don't hear anything from knowledge seekers within 24 hours, it means my wife is gone and my child will be killed too with it. This is planned and paid for by the King of Belgium personally. We have all the information. We are not playing games. The ex-King of Belgium has financed the whole project.
Okay. What I'm going to do is I've got an email here from Ralph Ring, and I'm going to post this here. He does say to spread it far and wide. I'm going to copy it here if I can. and see if this works on my website. Not on my website, but on Facebook. So hopefully that will work. Yeah, it did. Okay, so if you go to my website and scroll down, you will see.
Can you read me the text? What does it say?
Yes, I can. Hold on one moment. It's fairly involved, and so it basically talks about the USB stick that was released to the public and available for download. He puts your link for download. It says
we have renewed the download. If you go back to Keshe Foundation forum, the Taiwanese Keshe Foundation has renewed because apparently there was some problem with the old links. So it was a mixture of different zips. So they have done, what do you call it? They have corrected it. And so we put what we said, a new link on the forum. But that's not ours because they already passed it on to the other people to load it up. So nothing comes from Keshe Foundation. It's all coming from Keshe Foundation groups around the world. It's nothing to do with our server. We just received it and we put it up, but other people are listening to it or reading it. We already know it's past a couple of servers cannot carry the load. I've been told there's too many downloads. This USB stick is the total disclosure of all the sciences man needs to live in space. And it was given to the governments 2 years ago. And we knew sooner or later one of the governments would release it. If we would have released the technology, we would have become in danger of fighting the technology, different organizations. Now that the technology, that the USB stick, all the patents and blueprints have been released by the Taiwanese government to the Taiwanese scientists in a zip code format on a CD, the situation is between the people amongst the people. It's nothing to do with the foundation. But we have shown part of this process in the Fukushima. We will show the part of the process in the CO2 production this week in the workshop. The problem is that the technology now is in the hand of the people, shared by the people. You don't need my website or our forum to distribute the knowledge. My advice to people is very simple. Do not act against your governments. The technology is there to support you with your governments to a new level. We are not here to danger nobody's business or life. Even though to the extent that I put out today, and I've been discussing it with our other people, our other scientists in the past 7 days, my request goes to Boeing manufacturers of the jetliner, which has gone disappearing somewhere in China or India, wherever it is. In the Keshe Foundation, we have the knowledge. If anyone at Boeing, or you have any contact with Boeing aircraft builders, have original specimens when this aircraft was manufactured, being a part of a wing, being even a bolt or a nut, has to be of the original production, which part of it is used in the craft which is gone disappeared. Get the sample to us. Through the plasma technology we developed, if we can find the fingerprint of the structure, we can trace exactly where the plane is landed or where it is, in the sea, on the land, anywhere. It can be across another planet. We can still find a connection to it. This is how advanced this technology is. So this is why a lot of people don't like what we are releasing, but in fact, one of the advantages of it now is that the way we showed with Fukushima, we can extract cesium or all the radioactive materials. We have a number of active reactors here which can copy the magnetic fingerprint, gravitational fingerprint of the material which is in that aircraft. If we can match it with our system, we can link into it. It's literally, we can make the magnet of the copy of the material in the craft. And if we can copy that magnetic gravitational field, like two magnets, our system will match and connect with other systems. So we can find out where it is. Is the craft landed? Is the craft lost? Is it hiding somewhere? Is it in the deep oceans? This is one of the major breakthroughs in the world of science. I developed this technology in case in the future the spaceships disappear by mistake in the space, somewhere in these galaxies or other galaxies, somewhere in the universe, that we can find them. So for the first time, we offer the technology to Boeing or the government of China or the government of wherever the passengers could be. We need a copy, a substantial piece that we can fingerprint it magnetic gravitationally. Hopefully, if it's not found, it can be locked into. What this means now, we have the potential and capability of making magnets of any material. So, I asked Kerry if you know or anybody else knows anybody in Boeing. We tried to get in touch. We have a contact point in Boeing called Mr. Dallas Benhoff. If we can raise him on Monday, we will do so. We should be able within time, if our systems work the right way, or we can get the support from governments to run the system, to find where this craft is, exactly to millimeters. So this is one thing which this technology is offering at this moment. I have the systems here in Italy, and we offer it to the, to the people of the world. This can, if it can be done in the future, even the children which have gone lost with their clothing, we can create, it's like a fingerprint that we have. The fingerprint cannot be from two places, and you can lock in. Is more accurate than any radio wave, because it's like a mother and a child. When the child is born, doesn't matter where the mother lives and how long the mother lives, the child has a magnetic gravitational connection to the mother. The same thing goes with this craft. We would like to get involved in this. I'm sure our knowledge seekers will have a very interesting time to match copy the aircraft. Maybe even if there is a fuel which is of the same tank as the craft was fueled last week, that can be analyzed too. We need a live part piece of the system. So this is something which I wanted to explain, and the technology is available. And it's been made not for this accident. It's been developed by me years ago. It's not even in the patents which are released today or this week. So it's what is known as zero, It's zero time communication system. You can use it to lock into the magnetic gravitational field of your craft. In the future, when we start building crafts, a piece will be kept for such a purpose, for indefinite, till that if ever a unit disappears somewhere in the opens of the spans of the universe or a galaxy, we can always find it and bring it back. So for the first time, the way we offered our Fukushima nanotechnology in a simple way, this technology is available to those 230 odd parents, children, fathers who are looking and waiting for the mom and dad on board of that craft to turn up, or at least they get the closure where what's happening to it. The knowledge is with the Keshe Foundation. It belongs to humanity, and we are prepared to immediately release it and share it, or ask for the Boeing engineers to come to us, or we go to them to analyze how we can develop this technology directly with them within a matter of days for them to find out where this craft is.
Okay, Kesh, we understand that you're under threat right now, and I think that for the people that have not heard your other broadcast, could you outline what the situation is that you're living under right now in terms of how the threat started? If you could begin with perhaps they started when you were back in Belgium, if I understand correctly, and
my threats goes the point is the accumulation of a lot of things. It goes back as far as 1980s when I left the nuclear industry and gone into research independently, financing it myself, and coming back to the British nuclear fuel for material to carry out the first gravitational system. And more or less from April of 2004, all our problems started, or where we asked the British if I could receive nuclear material to test their first gravitational system, and then through that I ended up in Belgium through what happened in Farnborough Military Air Show, and we just ended up in the hand of the wrong man. And apparently a lot of people who end up scientists in Belgium end up in the hand of these wrong people. I have to explain something which just remind me if I forget. We have found, and we have a case in our position regarding murder of a scientist through the same system as me. I'll come back to it if you remind me, if you ask, remind me when I finish.
okay.
When I landed in Belgium, we released all the documents about 2 weeks ago. In respect to our technology has been evaluated and proven to be correct since 2004, 2005. But we were always under pressure and threats in all sorts and misinformation until we left Belgium, and apparently the whole caboodle has followed us now to Italy. There has been 3 attempts on my life by the police and the caboodle of assassinating and killing scientists. Every single one has a physical proof, payment of the damage to the car by forcing the car off the road. Second time, 2 people were arrested by the police of Belgium when they were trying to roll us over at high speed. The last time was when they came to our house last year, and we just put 3 suitcases in the car. Me, my wife, and my child. We left for Italy just to escape from assassination, because it's all involved, all of them involved. And this group within the federal police of Belgium are trained, and they have even crook prosecutors who issues papers on behalf of the police, or the prosecutors are well organized. They have a full circle organized. So the police makes the false files, and their own prosecutor does the case, and then they assassinate or they push scientists to release. All these things have a fingerprint of and ends up with one man, and this man now, as you know, now we will come to Italy. Unfortunately, the ex-queen of Belgium is Italian, so we've been followed to here through the same bloodline. We know from the interesting thing is the national securities and people close to all these organizations are reporting to us. We don't go on looking for knowledge, information. In different ways, they are telling us ahead of what they are planning to do, what is planned. There are decent people within this organization, but they still have to live and feed their children and look after their homes. And we've been offered military protection, military camp protection, full protection by 2 or 3 governments. And I have said, we are not spies. We are not like the guy who went to Russia and released a lot of information from what he took from the American government, which is wrong. We are scientists. We developed the technology, belongs to us. And these shouldn't, the release of technology and knowledge should not be the cause of our death. But in any way, this has been the situation. And now I can say my arrest is 100%. We're just waiting when they're going to land in the house and whatever what excuses. The death of my wife and my child is imminent because it's been signed by the King of Belgium himself personally. We have no doubt in what is going on. According to what we understand from the securities, my child will be killed in front of me. This is what the king has ordered, ex-King of Belgium.
Okay.
I hope they're wrong. I hope they're wrong. I hope they're wrong. But the information comes through security officers. What is puzzling me, we announced what's about the king, about Mr. Hans Brackenier, about Mr. Delano in the Federal Police of Belgium, and nobody has taken action about it. Amazing enough, no government has done anything about it. So it means governments are aware of it, and it's good to sacrifice my life, my child's life, and my wife's life for a king or for a structure which is there to do. We have no fear. We haven't spoken with my wife. We're just waiting to see the outcome. If they come in and they kidnap me or they silence me, and I've been told I've been sentenced to 20 years solitary confinement without seeing nobody. This has been ordered and paid for by the King of Belgium, the ex-King of Belgium. And the kangaroo court has already been set up. They've set up 3 court cases together, which they try to initiate it. We even know the date, and we know the date they have set up for literally my hijacking and kidnapping through Italians in Italy, and to show documents to my wife. And then if she doesn't collaborate, we have to witness our child to be done all sorts of things so that we break down. So this is not, we never said anything which we haven't proven. Everything in the past 10 years we released step by step. We've gone through it. So this is imminent. This is what has come from the national security polices within the Belgian police structure. And if they think we are wrong, we tell you something. All the communications are done in French. So you know how correct we are. So it's people within the household who are fed up with these things. Now, I go back to one point of the killing of a scientist. She was killed last year the same way as me, as the first attempt on my life. She was forced off the motorway at high speed on a hard shoulder, and when she comes off the car, she was shot in the head. She was supposed to patent a new technology 2 days later. And all this has been, again, goes through the same office of Mr. Hans Brackenier. He has, now we are asking if you know any international lawyer, please help us to put a case in any court in the world for a warrant for Mr. Hans Brackenier, Mr. Delanois, police officer in the district of Kortrijk, and for the ex-King of Belgium. If they are innocent, they come out. They are not innocent because now we have a dead body. We have a young woman who's been executed. Summary execution on the hard shoulder in Belgium is in the news, and nobody knew. Now, parents, families, other friends are telling us, start talking to us, and information is coming. They're all being terrorized. They cannot talk. There are scientists in Belgium who are terrorized. They have a fear of their lives and their families and their children. What do you call it? to talk. Once we get this warrant issued in the international court, somewhere out of Belgium, I could not go to the police and complain about them to the police. So what was going on with us? Because the federal police officers who are correct, they told us how Mr. Delano works in the federal police. These are the criminal police who have set up well with an establishment. They used to kill themselves, other police officers, to show it as a bank robbery in 1990s, if you go in the history of the police of Belgium. And now they have become another criminal organization within the police, and even good police officers in federal police of Belgium don't agree with this. These are the people who give us the information. So we are not going outside. And interesting enough, Mr. Delano, without knowing, introduced us to these people. Unknowingly, he put these people to us, and these people explained to us who they are. Now, we go back to one point which is important. I have no problem with what is set for us by the King of Belgium. A kangaroo court, being kidnapped, and my wife putting under pressure, and my child. These are the things scientists at my level will accept. And in trying to discredit us, and by luck, and by what we knew will happen, the Taiwanese group released the documents. So now they wanted to make allegations that I practiced medicine without the license. I didn't practice medicine. We produce medical systems. And I have a permit to do in Belgium. I've been given a right to manufacture. It's by a legal organization which is accepted by the government. We have 2 documents. And in there it says I have to teach anybody I teach can practice the medicine. If they have a medical license or have a medical training. So if I am wrong from yesterday, all of you who can make this medical system at home, you all have to go to prison. Because now you all can look after your own health. You can stop a cancer if you know what to do. I have put a fee for me making systems. And the fee is paid to me, is not paid to me, it's paid to my foundation, supports our work and life and everything else. They tried to find a way to accuse me of how they went through every single account of my foundation. What I did years ago to stop any accusation, I closed all my private accounts. I closed every private account I had around the world. I used to be a businessman for 20 years at a very high level. And I will explain to you to understand how high I worked in a few minutes, if you want to remind me. So if I buy a suit, if I buy a pair of shoes, I buy it through the foundation. If I go to a restaurant and I buy an ice cream, I buy it through the foundation. If I sell a book, if somebody donates me €5 to the foundation, I pay to the foundation. All my books are sold, the money goes to the foundation. So I made sure there is no accusation of I'm stashing money away. I put money away for myself. I pay my electricity bill, it's paid by the foundation. I charge for this for building systems and looking after new research development. Nobody has ever paid me, they pay the foundation. And the money goes in the bank of the foundation. Everything is transparent. So they have tried everything. What they've done when they downloaded the 30,000, they hijacked what they did with your website. They hijacked GoDaddy. They went to their server. They took 30,000 emails of mine, and they read it for about 6 months, and or say 3 months, and they were separating where to go. And so they have come to a bunch of 5 or 6 emails. We know how they've done it. And they wanted to accuse me of having a love affair with a woman, which actually, this is a woman. A lot of people around us know who she is. She's a woman with 2 children. My wife and I, we adopted her as like our daughter because we don't have a daughter. So they wanted to use these emails in what I've written to her and what is on the emails, which is like, I mean, even in the email, I say I have no interest in your physical body because my wife has spent 6, 7, 8 hours on the phone with this woman because we lost a daughter, and she could never have another daughter. So we adopted this woman, which would have been the same age as the daughter, and with all the talents which we were looking for. And we tried to adopt a daughter 10, 15 years ago. It didn't happen. And they've taken the email out, trying to use it to my wife. And the emails are read, actually these emails are read all by our children because we wanted to her to be part of our family. So our 4 boys had to know it was open. So these people are so stupid, they think they can use these emails to force us. But fortunately, a lot of people in Keshe Foundation know this woman. So this is how low these people have gone to. So we are monitoring a lot of things. And I have to tell you, they are even negotiating for my head to reduce some sanctions if my protection is withdrawn by certain governments. That if my protection is withdrawn by governments, they will reduce some sanctions or do other things. This is how high level I'm considered. I'm worth against millions. And I give one message to the Queen of England and to the British government. Northern Ireland peace, let me tell you this. Northern Ireland peace, which has now become permanent, would have been impossible without the collaboration and cooperation of my companies when it started. We have kept all the documents, all the files to prove it. Sinn Féin and Mr. Gerry Adams would not have shaken hands with Mr. Bill Clinton on the streets of Belfast when the peace between Northern Ireland and the British government with the Irish, what do you call it, IRA. If I would not have signed my companies and my organizations in supporting to deprive working with the British intelligence, reorganizing the finances through back to the British government, to deprive the extreme organizations from the funds. I give a message, Mr. Tony Blair, who signed documents and agreed with it. A third of 1,000,000 liters of fuel in one day. We have all the SGS certificate reports on every liter of it. They know what I'm talking about. If the pressure is not taken back off by Italians, by the Belgian government, or by the British, and we can all work as friends in one level, we will release the information how British monarchy has become a subject of Vatican. Very least, because we have even pictures of the tankers carrying fuel. We have all the registration numbers. We have all the shipping SGS certificates for the fuels moved out of Northern Ireland to Manchester and tankers to Dasselham in Belgium. All done through my companies. Peace in Northern Ireland would have not seen the daylight. For 300 years tried, they couldn't do it. For 300 years, Northern Ireland peace could not be achieved unless what we agreed with the MI5, MI6, and my companies, which I had across the world, we could move things without anybody knowing. And now they're trying to compromise for my life, for sanctions, for the people who are in power just because we supported them. I give a very clear indication to British government. Withdraw the move. We know what you're up to. I have served the British government during my stay in England for 30 years as I served my country of Iran. We released documents. How Northern Ireland peace was achieved. It would not have been done for 300 years. I masterminded it. I executed it. I delivered it. The politician talked about it. My staff, my workers stood on a Christmas afternoon in the snow to make sure fuels arriving from Belfast, from different part of Ireland, which were to be used for guns and bullets, were cashed and paid back into UK Treasury. They know what I'm talking about. And these informations are kept with 2 or 3 different places that if anything happens to me, it'll be released. I have bought insurances against everything. So now, it goes back to 2 things. It's nice to have peace in Northern Ireland. It's nice to have peace in England. There is no bombs going. So stop trying to trade for my life. Very simple. We have released the technology for humanity. We have not released the technology to create the death of me and my family, and the tortures and the rest of it. I request, if anybody listens to this communication, if you're a judge, if you're a lawyer, please open a case. We give you the evidence of the murder of a scientist, a body. It's not allegations. The file is closed very rapidly as an accident. No. Scientists are killed like this, and now Mr. Hans-Brekenie is in the European Space Agency, and now he'll have access to NASA and the top American scientists. You Americans, you Canadians have become part of the structure. My capture in Canada was not accidental. It was well planned, again by Mr. Hans-Brekenie, executed by Canadian government with authorization of the White House. Nobody would have touched the top Iranian nuclear physicist of the flight if it was not approved at highest positions in the world. I am not an unknown scientist in the back of the streets making a pot of tea. I cannot be, and we ignored, we will release documents. I'm not going to hide in embassies. I'm not going to hide in different countries. I did not hide my knowledge. We were fully aware of who ordered our or my arrest on the airport in Canada. And still, with open heart and with forgiveness, on the request of the American president, we handed the keys of the technology to them as a friend, as a brother. So nothing is hidden to us. Not because we try to talk too much. It's because the people who are within security services who I serve well, they are close friends. They protect us. They tell us, they give us information of every move. I think these people who are listening to this broadcast within the Belgian authorities who thought they are doing things we don't know, boys, you have more within your structure. People who put food in front of you do not trust you, but they have to put it there because their children depends on that food they put in front of you. So do not look too far. And secondly, I have been praying for the soul of the king, ex-king of Belgium. That man needs help, his soul, and through his soul we reach his body. I have prayed for Mr. Hans-Brekenie and his soul, and I pray for Mr. Delanois and his soul, because when the soul gets fed up with the body, we'll make the body to walk into and put everything on the table. I did the same thing with Mr. Obama. Mr. Obama, on 23rd of April, 2 years ago, literally issued a warrant for my closure of my institutes. And a year later, less than a year later, on the day of his election, his ambassador asked for the key. You are prepared to release the date of and the time of receiving the request to hand over the USB stick, which is now in the hand of public. It reads 3:48 on the 6th of November, on the day of elections. 3:48, I'm prepared to release a copy. At the same time, as you know, on the 24th of July last year, I received a private letter from His Excellency President Obama. A private letter, he addresses Dear Mehran, and he signs Barack. 2-page letter. So this man does not write a letter just to say write a letter, because he has a conscience what is done to me and put me on the line of death for 11 days. Canadians would not have made any such a move if they did not have authorization at the highest level. But I still bless and pray for your souls that one day they find peace. Any questions?
Okay, thank you very much, Kesh. Very, very eloquent. Yes, I believe that there will be, excuse me, questions in the chat, and people, please put them in all caps. We do have a chat room going where people will be able to ask you questions. On top of that, I would like you to explain the release of information regarding the technology. Is this going to be understandable to the world at large? Is this going to be something which only the people that are attending your workshops will understand? What do you suggest that people...
The technology, the pattern is written in a pattern language. Pattern language is written by one of my dearest friends, Dirk Loressens. Mr. Dirk Loressens was introduced to me when I came to Belgium in 2005 by a gentleman called Wim de Grava. I have a lot of respect for him. Wim de Grava was one of the directors of the Capital, and he was part of the IMEC, which did the material. There are a lot of rumors about this gentleman, Mr. Wim de Grava. There are rumors that he's third child of the king, ex-king of Belgium, that nobody knows. He looks like him. He looks like the second child of the king as well. So he has been a backbone help to the foundation in a lot of places for us, Wim de Grava. I would like to thank you for his support. If I get killed, without him, the foundation would not be there where it is now on the research side. The papers which are written and done, as Wim used to tell me, are written in a very common language. So if you don't understand what you call it, the patterns, don't read the patterns the way you read the first pattern. Read the patterns in the language of the plasma, not in the language of matter. Then you unravel the whole truth about every single writing in there. This is very important. There is a big difference between the plasma and matter. Matter, according to present understanding, has field forces. Plasma has gravity and magnetic field forces, attraction and repulsion. If you read the total of all the patterns, all my books, in the terminology of a plasma, you will understand the secrets of the universe. In time, people will think the same way. That's why there is a lot of confusion if my patterns can be understood. Wherever you don't understand, try to understand the behavior of a balloon inside another balloon, inside another balloon, inside another balloon, inside another balloon. The gap between each balloon is the pressure difference. When you blow a balloon inside another balloon, there is a gap between the two, a distance between the two walls of the balloon. So that gap, in my writings, I call it magnetic field, magnetic gravitational field strength difference. And in the solar system, in the sun, the same thing happens. The plasma does not open in one direction. It opens up like a balloon. And when it reaches certain strength, it builds another layer because it cannot hold to that strength. So you get layers of magnetic gravitational field of different strength. Then the interaction of gravitational magnetic field strength of one layer interacts with the other one and creates its own gravity and magnetic field. This is how gravitational field of the stars are created. Then you can read all my patterns and you can make all my systems overnight. You can produce gold as much as you like. You can produce water as much as you like. You can produce food as much as you like. In the workshop of this Thursday, we will announce two major announcements. And one of them will be how they are making the videos. They will make more videos by Thursday, how you can convert gases into solid at room temperature and pressure. And then these gases, what we call GANs, which is a solid or liquid state, if you put them on your tongue, because they're so powerful and energetic, you receive all the energy you need in one day in one drop, less than one drop. So you don't need to eat food. This is how the universe works. And the boys in my college and knowledge seekers in our institute have already made the first batch. They are doing it themselves because this batch will go to Fukushima by end of the week, as the Japanese TEPCO or the nuclear industry has provided, or two groups have been given or have access to nuclear material. That with the material we send, like the CO2, they can immediately test the effectiveness of how to decontaminate all the waters in the tanks and in the fields in Fukushima area. One of our knowledge seekers, she's from Japan, and we already have the dates when she flies in, which day with which group in Japan are going to test different materials. And the knowledge seekers here, which are normal scientists like everybody else who we handpicked from their application, they are building the systems, and the systems will go. They're coming up with their own inventions of how they want to do it. You will see all these videos on Thursday. They're making videos, and by the following Wednesday, we will see what happens in Fukushima with our knowledge seeker, which is carrying the materials with her. I hope she'll be safe and nobody does to her what they did to me when I went through Canada. But this is for the saving the humanity from the danger of the radiation. And we will see what the next step will be. We'll make another important announcement on the 20th, this Thursday, because a lot of people have been asking a lot of things about my position and how and what I am and who I am. And this has to be answered and addressed now. And I'm sure a lot of people already know. We received over years hundreds and hundreds of emails calling me all sorts of things. We're going to make that clear. And at the same time, we will start like a live video of operation of the different reactors, which the knowledge seekers have put together, or they built themselves, or they brought with themselves. And you will see 4 or 5 reactors literally simultaneously live. You can come in any second and watch what's happening anytime around the world. Because now that we have given our patents, we authorize it to be open to public, and you can read it. Now you can see the operation. We are not afraid of failure. We are not afraid if nothing is done. We are not afraid if the system do not respond. This is research. This is the reality. But from now on, every scientist, every man who is interested in future development of the medicine, future development of the health in the space, future development of materials, will interfere and interacts directly. This has never been done. I'm the first day the knowledge seekers came here 4 weeks ago, I told them one thing. What you learn has to be passed on. Usually when you go to university and you get educated, you wait 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years before you become a teacher. You can use your knowledge in public. They are students in the morning and they become teachers in the afternoon, teaching the worldwide in their own languages or in different languages to their listeners around the world. Knowledge has never been told so openly, so clearly, ever in the history of man. Unconditional. I emphasize on my knowledge seekers. Do not hesitate. Do not hold back. It's something you might know more. Because the minute you give the knowledge, at that instant you receive a new knowledge. Because knowledge is a gift. It's a jar. The more you empty the jar, the more room has to receive. Just 1 second. Yes. So what it is, so we teach, and within minutes, within a day, not only the teaching, the pictures of these reactors, the picture of the system they've done goes on the internet. I sometimes, at the beginning, used to get shocked because you have to understand, for over 30, 40 years, I have worked solitary life as a scientist. Nobody has seen what I've done. And I show something to these guys, they take a picture of it in the afternoon, it's on the internet. They're teaching people, and it's a pleasure. The way they explain things, I keep on telling them, the way you explain things, I could never do. So, can people make my systems? Yes. Can people make every system? Yes. Can they be in space? Yes. We have put a target to build the first spaceship this year. We have announced it. Funny enough, nobody has come up to now to say, I would like to pay to build part of this reactor. 1 second, please. Yes, Mama. So what this means is that people would like to have and go to space, but they don't want to pay for the materials for it to be built. So they are, with this behavior, putting us back in the hand of institute, organization, banks, to be able to finance, or who comes to help us to build, to accept their condition. This is a very strange situation for me. For 30, 40 years, through my work, through my whatever, I have subsidized this technology for people to have it. What it is, it's very interesting. I'll just tell you 1 second. I have to look at this and I'll tell you. The forum. We have put the paper out exactly at 4:51 yesterday. That's over 18 hours ago. On our server, 12,186 people have viewed it. Has any of them made a single payment for receiving this patent? All this technology which is patented and released, has any of them made any effort to say, okay, they are giving me this knowledge. You go and buy a screwdriver or a spanner which is slightly different, you pay 20, 30 or 5 or 20 euro because somebody has patented. Has such a technology become so valueless that you don't even support your own selves, that it can be developed further? This is what I tell you, the whole society is based on robbing as fast as you can. You don't do it, we go, we carry on, we do. But this behavior is showing me more and more. Nothing has changed, nothing will change.
Okay, Keshe,
unless we change
excuse me, Keshe.
Yes.
I have to say that the Camelot audience is very generous, and they will contribute if you ask. If you need donations to continue your work.
We need a huge amount of donation. We need hundreds of thousands. We said we need 55 million to build this ship.
Okay, well then.
And we're giving it, it's a cash foundation. You can go directly to the bank of the cash foundation, AB AMRO in Holland. This is not for us. This is for you. It's for humanity.
Right. Okay,
we are not asking. We have an assessment. We have assessed it. We have the place. To build this reactor within the next 3 months, 6 months, we have to raise 55 million euro to stay out of the hand of the bank and the companies who come and do it.
Okay. All right, so we will put the word out for you, Keshe, and get the word out. The people listening, send this information viral. Please, if you have a link for people, if you could please put that in the chat, or send it to me on my Facebook.
The link is there. It's Keshe Foundation. You go on the Keshe Foundation website. It says donation.
Okay.
Go and then use the link to bank. Everybody knows.
Okay.
Everybody knows how all our links are internationally known. We need to raise 55 million. It's open book. I told you I've closed my account, so it doesn't go in my pocket. Sure. I received an email from a guy this morning. We would like to be one of the first 500 people who flies into space with the new spaceship. How much is the ticket for it? It has to be reasonable. I wrote back to him, how much do you price a ticket to be able to go to space? People now pay 10 million, 15 million to go in space for a few days, or they pay $250,000 to be in upper atmosphere for a few seconds. How much do you value the technology which you become part of its development and progress? You're paying for yourself, not for me. Mm-hmm. I have been through all of it. I've seen the whole universe. I have no attachment to this earthly possessions and time. I said so many times to my family, I'm ashamed to be in the body of the man, because it's so shameful to man does to man himself. But we have to be in the body of a man to understand the language of the man, to be able to speak the language of the man to him to understand. So I have no attachment. If I had, I would have cried on the phone and the things they want to kill me. No, I tell them I pray for their soul.
I understand.
I know I don't need to be in them to understand them. They are with us, and we know what they are doing.
Okay,
There
Keshe.
is no hidden point. This is one thing I keep on teaching my students in past week. I teach them, you do not to be there to understand. You understand because they think about you, you know it. The king of Belgium, his biggest enemy is his soul, which is sitting with his body. I don't need to do anything. Yeah? Sure. But these people don't understand our station and our position. Nothing is hidden from us. Nothing.
Okay. Keshe, I wanted to remind you that you said you would speak about your background in working in the business world. Do you want to address that?
Pardon?
You mentioned you wanted me to remind you to speak about your business background.
Yes, let me tell you my business background. I come from a fairly well-known family from Iran. Extremely well-known family from Iran during the Shah's time. It's an extended family. I never relied on my family. I worked through my own setup. When I graduated, I knew nothing about business, but I knew I have to finance something that I could support my research. So I went into trading, and my trading being the same as I am with my, my present research with science, very open and very straightforward. So in my work, I found peace and I found straightforwardness all over the world. So I extended my business life after 2-3 years to more or less 5 offices in 3 continents, no partners. And I used to trade and travel and literally see and run businesses in a very high level, from oil business to diamonds to trading, for governmental financing, for support of new projects, and we got heavily involved in the time when the East and West broke down. I have seen poverty to the extremes, and I have seen richness beyond. Women who wear diamonds on their shoes to show their wealth because there was nowhere else to put the diamond. Everywhere else was already covered with a diamond. And I've seen people in my offices in Africa, in Gambia, who I had to pay 12 pence for them not to die of malaria because they didn't have the 12 pence to pay. And I understand wealth has no value if you do not know and you cannot support another human being with it. So I built a multi-million organizations, totally private, unknown to nobody. You have to understand you do not get involved with the governments at this level, or a British government doesn't come to you to help or to get involved with peace in Northern Ireland if you're a Mickey Mouse game player. In the infrastructure, hidden infrastructure, which we delivered and we supported it and we done it. When I speak to you that this is the position we achieve, it's not that just because somebody on the street comes to you, can you do this? It was built, systems were well in position, as having different companies in the right position and knowing what to do. We were asked by the security services in England to get involved to see this matter through. And I always remember when I met with MI6, MI5 people in the yard, they told me, do you know what you're getting involved with? I said, it's worth giving. Peace is something is worth getting involved with, even if it means my life. And they said the message will be passed on to Downing Street. We are going ahead with the peace work. So you can understand how high level I worked. I had to leave Britain because of the situation which was built across the corruption in the system, which I left. At the same time, I couldn't understand what was going on in there. And we walked from a ball of fire in a pan of fire with what happened in Belgium.
Yes, clearly.
So I have seen wealth beyond. I have traveled over 65, 70 nations in my time. And I've traded with over 100, 120 nations. Any color race has been through my books, and I've been around. I can tell you the places by even the color of the door handle. You can't do that if you're not there. But this has been part of the training of me to understand man, to understand how to handle the man. I have a very interesting memory. When I was in Washington, you know, the biggest government house in the world, the White House, next door to it is the poorest place where I've seen a dead man on the boulevard. On the corner, there is a hotel with a huge shopping center in the basement, and further up the road is a Holiday Inn hotel. I've seen a dead body at minus 70 degrees in the richest nation, and I thought, what a sham. By looking distance to the White House, you can see a dead body in the boulevard, and you know exactly what happened if you've been to Washington. And I walked into the points of the palaces of the African nations, and I've seen a man dying of hunger. There's no difference if you live in the richest country or the poorest nation. Death is all the same with hunger. And with this technology, we will have put an end into it. If you can afford to find an empty Coca-Cola bottle, you can find a piece of wire, which is a copper, and you can get your hands on 2 old telephone batteries. You can guarantee to have enough energy, water, and food to survive anywhere on this universe. And this is the patent which has been released yesterday. This has been the biggest fear of governments and multinationals. When I've been saying for 2 years, 3 years, if you have 2 more mobile phones, you can have everything you want. Everybody was looking that, oh, very soon the water will drip out of the mobile phones and the gold will drop from the back of it. And I opened it to my knowledge seekers a couple of weeks ago. I said, do you know what's going to happen with this? I said, everybody's looking for the telephone to start dropping water from it. I said, the only thing you need, you open the back of the mobile phone, you take the battery out. In every battery, there is about 30 to 50 centimeters of copper plates, which is used for the positive, negative plates of a battery. You take the plate out, you just make it, nano layer, which costs less than a cent, we shown in Fukushima. You can put it in a cooking pot, which is made of clay or steel or whatever. And if you know how to, we showed you how to make atomic hydrogen from the Coca-Cola bottle, which we have shown in Fukushima. Then you have your hydrogen, you have a rotating earth, and you have the sun in your hand. What would you like from it? And this will be shown. Our scientist from Belgium has come in with a ceramic clay. He's making a clay reactor. And we have people now, the American citizen who's with us as a knowledge seeker, with the Czech Republican knowledge seeker. As I said this before, they are putting a reactor together, which is manufactured by Iranian engineers in Tehran. And so now it's an international cooperation. And they are putting the reactors together next week, and we see what we build, where we get coal, gold, where we can create water. And all these systems are literally using those copper slips in the back of a mobile telephone, which to you and me worth nothing, but now is a source of life. If you know how to use these copper wires, we show it. They've been explaining it on the internet. I've seen the knowledge seekers. And if you can oxidize these copper wires, which they come in the mobile phones, you don't need anything else. You can produce half a kilowatts or 300 watts of electricity, which gives you the light. When you don't need the light, you can create a freeze or heating to create water. And when you finish with it, you can change it into the wiring and make the magnetic gravitational field of any vitamins or minerals you need to feed yourself. It's the simplicity of the technology which is saving the man. So the man in Africa would not die, and the man next to Washington, next to the White House in the boulevard, should not die because he can't heat himself. This is the beauty of it. At least I have left a legacy that no man should go hungry. And I hope and I wish, my deepest wish is that people who manufacture guns will stop to this process, because we can, the way I told you, we can find the aircraft wherever it is at the moment. Very soon I will not do, but the people who now receive the patterns will change the position of the carbon or any other material in every bullet on this planet. And they put an end to the wars. As I said, last week I was teaching them how to make gold. And I said, to make gold, you need mercury and 1 neutron. And they looked at me, but this gold is 1 neutron less than 1 atomic, less than the, what do you call it, mercury. I said, yes. If you want to take a proton, a neutron, an electron out of mercury to make it gold, it's a lot of work. But if you put 1 neutron in the mercury, which immediately changes to a proton and an electron, then you have an unstable mercury, which becomes gold and helium, and you can push it to become energy. So now the secret of making gold is out of the back. And it costs, I think it costs less than 1 cent to make 2-3 kilos of gold from now on, if you understood what it is. And I've been telling to the British, how many tons of gold do you want me to put in Central Bank of Libya for you to come and rob again? Because gold has no more value. There has been the secret of making gold. It's in the holy writings, and I said this recently. The maturity of the man will come when man understands how to change matter. And now we know the man is mature. And now everybody wants to make gold. Go and get yourself a mercury. Back of your mirrors, most of them is mercury. Otherwise you won't be able to see. The little glass temperature in your garden, which shows what temperature is mercury. If you know how to get the neutron out of the carbon or the hydrogen-carbon combination of Coca-Cola bottle, that mercury becomes gold in the same reactor as you made the energy. So gold has no more value now that you know how to make it to mercury, to gold, or vice versa. To change an element which is needed, you don't need to go through this elaborate fusion. Fusion is a nonsense they're trying to make. I was with a bunch of nuclear physicists in the past few weeks, and we all agreed this 30 billion project in south of France is totally meaningless from the fusion point of view, which we never achieve, but from scientific gain knowledge worth billions, which is getting spent on it. We will never achieve fusion. Fusion, the way the money is spent on it, I explained very simply. We could not hold 7,000 degrees when Colombo came back onto Earth and it just burnt out. We lost 2 shuttles, and one of them in re-entry because of the high temperature which hit their physical body because the heat shield was gone. How do these scientists expect to hold? They say fusion would create the heat equal to the center of the sun, which is 100 million degrees. We don't have a knowledge to hold 7,000. We lost the most beautiful people in that craft coming back into Earth. How are we going to save and control 100 million degrees? And in a reactor, which is nothing. They say fusion has been done for a few milliseconds and the heat is dissipated. You try to keep a fusion going for 2 days, it won't last even a few more than a minute or two in a proper fusion way, what they're talking about. We don't have the knowledge to heat transfer 100 million from the center. The sun, so many millions of kilometers away from us, it heats up a little bit more, we get a bit too closer to it, evaporates all the water on this planet. Now you go and live in the center of it, and you want to create it here in south of France. Does not make sense. It's a very good money making for research. So what you can do, you don't fuse, you disassemble the atom, and then it breaks up to what you want. It's much easier. It's how nuclear physics work. So you want gold. From next few weeks, we produce golds in Keshe Foundation Center. We start selling golds at the price of metal because it has no more value. And I'm not doing it because I've taught 8 people how to do it, and they're teaching other people live on the line how to do it. So very soon, you can buy gold as cheap as copper and maybe as cheap as water.
Okay,
It's
Keshe.
just to have a nice shiny domes.
Keshe.
Yes.
Okay, I have some questions coming up in the chat. One person is asking, if you are able to make gold, why don't you finance your foundation with this gold?
Oh, we can do it, no problem. We done it 6 years ago in Tehran. Gold has no value. We are not here to produce things to sell things. I can put a lot of things out. You never know. You want us to put gold? You want us to put gold in the market? You want us to put diamond in the market?
Okay,
I'll tell you exactly. Hold on. Let me answer you this. Yes. We don't need to make gold. I can go to South Africa. I can go to Congo, buy diamonds at the cost of $5 to $10 per carat. Bring it to Europe, put it through one of our reactors, which is done because I had to explain this process to diamond bourse in Belgium because the diamonds are coming in at different rates, and I can sell these diamonds at $3,000 to $5,000 per carat, pure, using our process. I don't even need to go and find mercury and get involved with contamination. And the thing is, you're making the same diamond structure on your diamonds and your golds.
Okay, and why you don't do this is because politics? Why don't you do this?
It destabilizes the situation. We are not here to destabilize the situation.
Okay, so you are concerned that markets will drop. You are concerned that the markets will drop around the world if these things are plentiful.
The Americans understood the potential of this technology. They said the world has already had a crash. It cannot stand another devaluation. We are not here to disturb. We need gold in a space. We have to produce it for whatever reason we need. If this shows immediately, when a person asks me a question like this, it shows to me the level of ignorance of what they don't understand what we are here for. Yeah. Okay. I can produce plutonium. I can, as easy as I can produce gold, I can produce plutonium. Where would it put us? Yeah. As easy as we can produce gold, we can produce water to feed a man. The whole purpose is to take the greed out of it. Gold has no value outside the boundary of this planet. I keep on saying, how many millions of dollars can you sell to an alien in space? This is what we gave value then that we can control through it. Go, the one who just asked this question, please go get yourself a Coca-Cola bottle and get some mercury. Follow the discussion which the knowledge seekers have put on their links, on their discussions. You should be able to make 2, 3, or 4 kilograms of gold by tomorrow morning. And if you cannot do it, it shows you never understood the value of life. Our teaching is very simple, so you better read the books.
Oh, okay, Kesh. What about the CERN? You know, the Hadron Collider. What is your understanding about what they really are doing there, and what
This
is
is
your
part of
evaluation?
research. We are not the ultimate. We are part of the process of learning. The
Hmm.
human race has to understand the whole spectrum. Even the things which are written, the books are written, the knowledge are released, will create millions and millions of research in the future. Because everybody tries to understand part of it. Now let the universities run research on how to change mercury to gold. Yeah? How simply it can be done. So this CERN is needed. The South of France systems are needed. The pressurized water reactors in America are needed because as physicists, we have not even scratched the surface of science. So you cannot say it's wrong. So they do some things which is wrong. We laugh at them, not to insult them, but they said in CERN they were looking for what do you call it?
Higgs
The
boson.
first, his Higgs boson, yeah. And as I said, I had the misfortune. One of the biggest misfortunes of my life was sitting next to the King of Belgium, ex-King of Belgium, and he asked me the question. We released the picture in our things when he was in the cafe where I was working with the Queen, and he asked me, "What do you think about this?" I said, "They call it God particle." I said, "If you understand what I explained to you even earlier on." Because I was explaining to him about the plasma and what I explained earlier on this talk about the balloons, is that when the magnetic fields slow down enough in strength, they become matter physical to us. So all of us, we are God particles. Now we laugh at CERN, but in reality, because they don't understand it, so we put it in a different way. Now we are, it's like insulting your child when he does something which to you is very trivial. They have to do it. They have to understand. Somebody made a point, and it's the same as with Stephen Hawking. When I wrote my paper in 2004, that black holes leak and are the source of life, and he was saying black holes are big eating machine. It changed life. We put my paper out in my book. We put in our book that is coincidentally on the same day he changed his mind, made another paper, and we put a copy of the original letter from the institute. So it's closed. Stephen Hawking is finished as a scientist because this year he's put a paper out confirming how my theory is correct from the beginning. So as far as we know now, peer review has no meaning. My patents are in there. Why should my patents go to European patent for somebody to his benefit to tell you yes, it's correct or not? You test my patent all the line by line. If it's good to you, this is for you. You don't need somebody in European patent who decides on the financial position of his country if a patent can be given or not. Now you give the patent, if you can make it, you got the patent. So, but the thing is, nobody can patent because the knowledge. The way I thank Dirk Lorenz, the way he has written these patents, it covers everything man can ever would like to patent, but because now it's open, nobody can patent it. It's a free knowledge. So this situation is very easy. Now you have all the knowledge. You have all the knowledge, but read it the way I've written it. Then you can do it. You can make gold. You can do anything you like.
Okay,
We have
Kesh.
taken the peer review out of it. If you understand it, you already peer reviewed it.
Okay. I have some other questions coming in the chat. So I would like to ask you those questions. Unless there is something that you prefer to talk about a little bit longer, I will ask you questions.
Ask me
Otherwise,
the questions. No problem.
okay. And I do want to thank Sterling Allen for supporting your work. And are you aware that he's also put your information on his website so that people can access it?
I know. So I know. I forward things to Sterling Allen. We fell out for a while last year because of something he put out, which I don't think is correct for somebody who's impartial to make a comment, because it could be wrong or right. And I passed on the information to him. This is what it is, and it was a friendly communication. But he published a friendly communication, which is okay. He's a journalist and he's looking after our interests, and I thank him for it. He's done a lot of good work for the foundation, a lot of our scientists. He's a free port. in a way, and knowledge has to be through reports.
Okay. Someone is asking, what kind of profile are you seeking to work with you on the space project? In other words, do you want computing, networking, electronics?
We need everything. Send your emails to Spaceship Institute. Then the beauty of it is I'm not in charge anymore. I have given a lot of control and decision making to the panel of knowledge seekers. The 8 knowledge seekers on the panel will decide who they want and what they want. I receive it, I look at it, and I put it without unconditionally to the panel. And this week or next week, we will share who is looking after which part of the Space Institute. They know what is needed. We need everything. First of all, we need donations to start being able to build this thing. That is a paramount. Otherwise, we can talk till the cows come home. Or we go and we sell our souls to the multinationals that whatever they do, they want to cover something in it. As you know, the energy reactor now is in the hand of Italians. They are doing what they like with it. And soon we will show its pre-commercial unit, which is made by the Italians. We gave it as a gift to the Italians, unconditional. Actually, it's a lie. We put a condition on it. The only condition when we gave the technology to the Italian manufacturers was that every part of this reactor has to be built in Italy, that it creates job in Italy and wealth in Italy for Italians. It will be the same with the Chinese. Everything has to be in the same country. Otherwise, we need computer programmers, we need metallurgists, we need people who understand storage and composition of storage of gases, because we can absorb energy or magnetic gravitational field in the universe, convert it to gases. We need the storage. If you look at the pattern which we released, it shows you floor -2 is the storage section. We need people who have a deep understanding of the health in radiation, because in cosmos and in our reactors, because they create radiation, we have to understand the rapid mutation in the body and what is ahead. And we need long-distance communications, people who can understand interaction of magnetic fields in communication, zero communication time. We know the knowledge sits with the Brazilians and in the Brazilian government. We request for, and I'll put it out, we have a close communication with the Brazilian government. We hope we have somebody from Brazil on board in this respect. We know who is working on it. We need people who have a good concept of security protection. This means that the knowledge we develop is handed over prior to the governments, that they can build security systems, that the knowledge and technology cannot be abused like terrorist activities and that kind of thing. We will collaborate. Foundation has to collaborate with all the governments through any form or shape, that the knowledge, as we develop it, is first in the hand of the world police force, or whatever you want to call it, that no one can come harm by it. Because there are a lot of people who think now we have this technology, we can go from China to, or from Middle East to, or from Middle East to America, or whatever, do whatever we like. These things have to stop. National security, international security has got to stay paramount. So we need that kind of people who understand. I used to work with the security forces. I know what it means, but my knowledge is a very scratch on the surface. We need people who understand this process. As I told you, we have a close collaboration with national security officers for years through my work, and I know these people do a fantastic job. You people walk on the street and you don't get robbed. You walk on the street, you don't get, you sleep in your house knowing you tomorrow morning you wake up, is there. All these needs security, well built in and protected. People complain we pay too much taxes, but they don't complain that we can leave the front door open and wake up in the morning, the furniture is still in the house. So in a larger scale, we need security officers to advise us, to advise governments through us what is coming and what has to be planned in advance. We don't need what you call it forced keeping information. We just need a delay time. The way we did with the USB stick. We gave the USB sticks to the government for a year and a half, and now it's in the hand of people. That gap has allowed certain governments to do certain work and research. That what they see is coming. This is needed. I have the highest respect for any national government forces, being police force, being national force, because without them we have no country, we have no nations, and we'll be eaten up. We've seen it what has happened when the anarchy comes in. So we need people who understand and have a good knowledge of deep space plasma. There are about maybe 20 of these people in the world. Not many. I know 2 of them. I know one of them sits in NASA. I would love him to join us. I know he will join us if he opened the doors the right way to the American government. Because in the future, the speed is so fast, we have to understand the position of the plasma in the destination point, and these people understand it. This is a special talent and knowledge. You have in America, in the NASA, a gentleman who knows what I'm talking about. If he listens to this conversation, he has the record of the most longest man flown frequent in space. He's from Central America. He knows what I'm talking about. I have a lot of respect. He's responsible for the plasma propulsion jet program of the NASA. People like him to collaborate with, there will be an asset to humanity, not to the foundation, because the knowledge belongs to everybody else. I have a lot of admiration for him because I know what he can give us a lot of knowledge in the deep weightlessness. The other hand, we need a lot of Russians because Russian space technology is very, very, very advanced. It's at least 20, 30 years ahead of NASA. I know them, I work with them, I have had a very close collaboration with these people. The reality is that we need everything.
Okay.
We need people who can manufacture chairs. We can't put 500 people on the floor.
Okay.
This is the reality. We need people who understand about everything. We don't have shock absorbers in these aircrafts, but we need positioning, magnetic positioning with respect to a surface. This is a talent sits with the Russians. They've developed it very nicely. We need everything. This is not us anymore. Now with the release of these patterns, is humanity how they want to make the first know-how boat. We call it the boat of know-how. Through the first spaceship, we can take ourselves across and beyond this, and maybe because of it, all the man's greed will finish because we go out and we see there's so much of it, we don't need to be fighting for nothing.
Okay.
One of the biggest, let me explain, I've said this before, we need a very rapid structure through governments and United Nations on who and how many people can leave this planet. This will be a nightmare.
What do you mean? I don't understand. You want to know how many people can leave the planet?
Very soon. I can see the future in the next 10 to 15 years. As I always say, the farmer in the back of African village is happy where he is. The man who's begging on the streets of New York is happy where he is as he gets a roof on his head. It's the rich boys and scientists who want to see what is happening in Bahamas and how is Amazon, jungles of Amazon. They spend the money to go. Now, the jungles of Amazon and how Bahama is will become Venus and other planetary systems. And this is not a fairy story. It's at our reach before the end of this year if humanity works together. We brought the knowledge seekers together. We are requesting for 25 more knowledge seekers who are mainly theoretical scientists who can put our work in the lab into digital form, in the mathematical form that we can repeat the same process. So when these scientists go to find out more and more, you can put a reactor in your car and end up in Mars tomorrow morning. It's not a spaceship anymore. Any single car can fly. You can, if you put it in the carpet, you know, the Persian carpets is a reality now. A flying carpet is a reality. We showed this, we were going to show the first flying car on the 26th of November in Eindhoven 3 years ago. And we were blocked by the same people, Mr. Hans Brackenier. They came to my house, they came to my lab in Belgium, and I showed them, I said, I have a problem, I'm going to show you, I'm going to show this car tomorrow in Eindhoven, flying. And they said, do you have a flying license? You cannot do so. And they confiscated and left my nuclear material in my lab. This was, nobody understood the importance of what they did try to do. They did not come to just confiscate. If you confiscate a criminal a drug, you take it off him, you take it to the center and take the guy. You don't come to a scientist's lab, confiscate, unlock his nuclear material and leave it in his lab and you go. So it was obvious it was a setup. And I have all the letters of it from the Belgian Nuclear Center and the police when they left it. You don't do these things. It was just to discredit us. And secondly, we have shown all the business plans, which by the request of the Flemish government through Pricewaterhouse in Belgium, was drawn up to build up the first space reactors, energy reactors, medical reactors in 2009 in General Motors factory in Belgium. And I even have somewhere communication from Mr. White, who became the temporary chairman of the General Motor during the crisis of the bankruptcy of General Motor, that to take over the plant. All that, our reactors, our technology, as we released the papers, were ready in 2005 and 6. And in 2009, the Belgian government, the Flemish side, wanted to produce this. And when Mr. Hans Brackenier found out, he blocked it. They threaten a lot of ministers, if they go ahead with us, they lose their jobs. And now they are doing the same thing in Italy. I don't go and hide into an embassy, but I put a message directly to His Eminence the Pope. Make my house a church. Nobody goes into a church first to harm it. You know, the priests, when they rape children or whatever, they go and sit in the church and nobody goes in the church to arrest them because it's a house of God. This house is a house of God. People come here to pray and to learn to save humanity. I'm in Italy. I ask Vatican to make my house a church that it cannot be touched by nobody. We need it. The Pope knows. Let me tell you how powerful Keshe Foundation is. Vatican can deny it. We never put it out, but let Vatican deny it. On the hour of inauguration of the present Pope, within the service when he became the Pope, Keshe Foundation Peace Treaty was handed over. So the present Pope has read the Peace Treaty, World Peace Treaty, and part of the talks we hear he mentions, part of the Keshe Foundation peace talks had been written and talked about. So our work is already within the structure. And Vatican well knows where we are and who we are. Keshe Foundation supporters sit within the governments. The full 4 packages of the peace treaty, World Peace Treaty, which was given to His Excellency President Obama, was sent to Iran for Iranian President and His Eminence Ayatollah Khamenei, the same as for the Japanese Prime Minister, the same as all the other leaders, was given by the people close to the Pope on the hour when he inaugurated as a Pope. He wasn't waiting for somebody to go and see. We have people who are highly influential and carry these things silently. So the Pope knows, make my house a church. A church, house of God, cannot be touched because we teach unity, friendship, and peace. So this is a house of God. If you are a Muslim, you do the same. Make this a holy place because we are teaching Christians, Jews, Muslims, Buddhists. So in a way, where we are with our knowledge seekers, we become the house of man, the nations. We eat together. It's very strange, you know. My knowledge seekers can tell you, no one has ever seen education like this. We don't have a blackboard. My wife makes them feel home. They cook, they eat. We have to tell them, can you please go home? They stay here till 1, 2 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, and they come 9 o'clock in the morning. They enjoy the unity of man in science and technology. They have no inhibition. They don't hide anything about what they learn and what they think and how they teach each other. Our Japanese knowledge seeker cooks for all of them like a mother, and when she's not there, they cook for each other. And they look after each other like the way it'll be in space. They are literally in a space of their own here. We lock the doors and nobody comes in. And they live, they work, and this is how it's going to be, because now we have to accept as the ethos, it will become the ethos of the man in a space. In a space, when you're in a spaceship and you travel and you end up in different places, you can't sell a palace and you can't buy a Rolls Royce. Where are you going to drive a Rolls Royce? From one end of the spaceship to another? These are the realities we see. My wife cooks for them. Which institute such a thing is done? Last week, they were short of pillows and blankets. She makes sure they have comfort when they go home. We look after them like our own children, even though they're grandfathers and fathers and mothers. We have brought the essence of unity into our work, and they feel it. We have to keep them out of here because we need time to even think and develop. This is a home of knowledge. This has become the Mecca, a temple of peace, unity, and knowledge, and we keep it that way. And those who want to harm us, and those who know how to protect us, if you allow a priest to go and sit in the church after he has abused a child, and you call it because it's a church, nobody can go in, this is the house of God. I asked the Pope if he hears us. We know he hears us. They listen to what we say usually. Make this place a holy place. Make it a church. And then knowledge becomes free. We have given the space reactor technology and development of the spaceship freely to the Italians. Unconditional. So I have given the Fukushima technology in development and testing freely to it. This is my home. I live here. To me, no difference between here and Tehran or when I was in Belgium. In Belgium, they used us. In Iran, they are using the technology their way. We offer the technology for the aircraft which is missing. I feel for that child who's waiting for the dad who's on that aircraft. We don't know where it is. I feel for the woman who's waiting for the father to come home to her children. There's no difference. I'm a father, I'm a son, and at the same time, I'm part of the humanity, and it's got to be the way we are. This greed has to go, and the only way it goes is how we accept abuse. I was watching NHK National, the Japanese national television yesterday. And I said to my wife, I am ashamed to watch this program, but I have to watch it to understand how man abuses a man. One of the major corporations, as you know, in Japan for 12 years, they had no wage rises because they said they can't afford it. And the company writes to a sub-company producer, which is another sub-company producer, we would like you to reduce the cost by 2.5% in 2014. And the guy with 25 workers has to find a way to not to pay his people wages increases, even though the prices are going up, to be able just to make 0.5% profit annually to satisfy the company who wants 2.5% reduction in price to keep the profits going. And the same company is announcing multi-billion profit to the market. Who is robbing who? This is the stupidity of this situation. The man who makes the thing has to go hungry, has not to be able to educate his child the way he wants, that the company man on the top can show I'm a smart man. I don't need to answer to the market. I need to answer to market. I made $1 billion more. But from where you made $1 billion more, I cheated the man of his labor. I have a very good friend, a very good man I know very well. And in so many ways, it's good to know him. In a way, it's bad to know him during my business life. He's called Philip Green. He's advisor to the present Prime Minister of England. Philip Green in the 1990s used to call a company called WW in England. And he went in because the shares of the company was owned by the market, the stock exchange. He announced that he's going to make so much profit, and he was out by $500,000. They kicked him out because they said, you said you're going to make like $500,000 more, you made less, so you're not good enough. And he came out with one promise out of there as he was sacked, even though he made a very good profit. He made one promise: I will never go in the hand of the market, that people dictate and abuse me. And now he is one of the richest men in England, in Europe, because he took the market and the stock exchange out of his business. He owns everything he has. And he's got to the point now he's advisor to the Prime Minister. So these abusers, we got used to. The people who are intelligent, like Philip Green, he comes out of it and he dictates the position, not to be abused. And just go on NHK and watch this. It's very interesting how the man says, if I could get $12, I think, or $15 a week more, I can put my child to a class, at least you can do this, or buy a pair of shoes more. And he's denied of that because the company can't pay it, because they have to come up with 2.5% reduction. And the director of the company on the top is proud to announce increasing profit by rubbing his own stuff. And that's in Japan. You can scale it down, up and down to America or to Africa. It all goes the same way.
Okay, Keshe.
Yep.
Thank you for that. We have some more questions here I would like to ask you. Is that all right?
No problem. I have all the time.
Okay. All right.
At least as long as I'm alive till they kill me. And then there is no more questions to ask.
Okay.
And then you know where to go for. You look for the King of Belgium and his entourage.
All right. Well, we're doing this broadcast to protect you and your life and to get the word out all about what you're involved with. And we want to thank you very much for your service to humanity. Someone is asking, can you not protect your family by taking them into space with a Maglev system?
I can take my family to places you don't even can imagine. We are here to change the scene here.
Thank you.
My wife knows exactly our responsibility, and I declared it to her in late 1990s, what my position is, who I am, and what I have to do. We do things not because I'm hard-headed. We do things because we know our suffering a little bit will free man from the, what he's been living with all the hardness.
Absolutely. Is there some place to buy a working Keshe generator today to power a house? Someone is asking.
Yes, it's called Go to Keshe Foundation Forum, build one of your own. Or you wait till a safe unit is released by the Italians or which are manufacturing the power unit, or you wait till they release it, because now the generator is out of our hand. We've given it to the Italians. When they produced it, they give us about 50, 60 pieces we have to give, and then the rest you have to buy from your own government. There is something I keep on saying people don't understand. Every single generator sold to any Keshe Foundation or any organization will be reported to your government for taxation. It has to be. There is nothing free energy. Who's going to pay for your school of your child, and who's going to pay for the doctors and the hospitals and cleaning the roads? Your energy, what you use now, pays partially for all these expenses. When you stop buying fuel on a fuel station, every dollar out of it, $1.50 or 2 cents, is taxation which pays for something. Even though you don't see it and you say the government robs us and does this and that, they buy their own private yachts, whatever you put it, at the end of it, some of it comes to you to be able to have a clean road and a road to walk on or drive on. So any units we pay, we don't want to become a rogue organization, tax deviation or whatever. The governments will know, you will come and you will go, people will go to the government and say, I have so many units, what do I have to pay or how much work do I have to do to cover for what I have received. Do you know something? You talk free energy. I would love to see you in 20, 30 years when you want to have a free hospital, when there is no doctors and no nurses to be paid for to be there to look after you when you have Alzheimer's. Nothing will be free unless you are prepared to put something in it for the society, because the beneficiary is you. This word free energy, free everything is a fantastic word, but you know what it is? You buy the slavery within a few months and a few weeks down the road, because then when there is no government money to pay for the doctor, then the doctor knows you have to pay $300,000, $400,000 for operation. Where are you going to get that money? You can make gold, he can make gold too. I think these things will change the man's understanding of his life very, very, very soon. Very, very soon. Servicing humanity and being a servant to humanity will become pride and joy of the man, not how many cars you drive. Very soon will come, because all of you will have enough gold, enough diamonds, enough palaces anywhere you like.
Okay.
But
Keshe,
that will change.
thank you.
Yeah.
Someone is asking whether the Japanese government is on board with using the tech for Fukushima that you're offering.
The material for Fukushima is going to Japan this next weekend. The knowledge seekers are producing it. And if I'm correct, I understand our Japanese colleague or the knowledge seekers, they have given the contaminated materials to 2 groups in Japan, which these 2 groups independently will test the material we're sending to them. So we monitor it from there and here, and them doing it independently in Japan. But you have to understand, we're producing nanomaterial which is confirmed by the institutes which we released their finding, and at the same time, the scientists around the world, especially from Russia, have released papers in the past 2 or 3 months that how nanomaterials create separation of the radioactive material. But because of the expenses has been one of the impossibilities, we have shown how cheap it can be done. That's the only difference between us and the others. And it'll be tested within the next 2 weeks, and I'm sure our knowledge seekers will shout on Harley Davidson when it's wrong.
Okay, but are you saying the Japanese government, you are not working with them at this time, correct?
You cannot be given nuclear material to test, contaminated material, without authorization of the government. But it's done through the way they are setting it up, not the way we want to do it. But at the same time, we achieve the same target.
Okay.
What it is, I think it's 24th, 25th, 26th, or is it 25th, 26th, 27th? Our knowledge seeker has sessions with 2 groups in which are appointed or are being given the material by TEPCO or the Japanese government to independently test the materials which she's carrying with her. And if it is correct and they announce their finding, we will know more or less live as it happens she's there, or we can replace the material if the effectiveness is lower or higher. Then we'll see what the next step will be with the Japanese government or TEPCO. It's a governmental, private, institutional collaboration.
Okay.
Let me explain to you, there are 700 different submissions to TEPCO for helping Fukushima. We are not the only group. So they can't jump on everything. They have to assess it. If it's correct, then the next one.
Okay. Are the reactors in Iran using your technology? And do you think that this was why Israel may want to attack them?
That's an old story. It's finished. That was 2 years ago. You know what I said, and it made a lot of sense in Tel Aviv. I said, from Iranian point of view, and the Israelis understood and Washington understood very clearly, we are all friends and brothers. If a friend gives you a gift, which if you already have a gift, the same gift at home, or if you have no need for a gift because you don't have a room for it, what do? Because it's a friend, you give the gift back to your friend, says, I don't need it because I have no place for it in my house. Yeah, you can do whatever, maybe you can use it in your house. Thank you very much for the gift. It's the same. When the Israelis or the Americans or any other nation sends the intercontinental missiles to Iran, we have no need for it, but we have the technology to capture it the way we captured the spycraft 2 years ago. What are you going to do with it? We give it back to the friend because there is no need for it in our place. We have no room for nuclear warheads, but we can capture it. The question is, where would you like it? In Washington or in Tel Aviv? It has to go back to the friend. So nuclear warheads attacking Iran, the way we showed how easily it is to capture one of the most advanced aircrafts out of the space, out of the, when these, what do you call it? These
drone? Are you talking about? You're talking about the drones?
Yes. These drones are monitored by 8 satellites and controlled, and they've got a self-destruction system inside them that nobody can capture them. As you've seen, it's been captured. Technology in the intercontinental missile attacking Iran carries much less sophisticated system than they do. So when we capture it, we have no need. We are a peaceful nation. Where would you like it? It goes back to the friend. If you throw something at somebody or you give something to somebody, you measure if the guy doesn't need it, where can I put it in my house? Where would you like the nuclear warhead? It's come from Tel Aviv, it goes back to Tel Aviv. It comes from Washington, it goes back to Washington. Okay. Now is the time of peace. We have the technology, we have shown it, and there is no need for war. All these games of war is finished. The world governments are realizing more and more.
Okay, Keshe, are you aware of the secret space program?
Of the Keshe Foundation, we don't have one. The others is their problem.
Okay, so you are not aware, or you don't want to talk about it?
Every nation has a program. It depends what you want to call a secret. I know Russians from when I used to work in Russia and Kazakhstan, through their security services, what programs they wanted us to know at that time. I'm sure Americans do the same. I'm sure Chinese are doing the same. Our Japanese friend and government is very clear about my point of view about the Fukushima reactor number 1 and 2 explosion. I have made my point very clear, and I discussed it with the nuclear physicists who are in this field very recently, past couple of, I don't want to say, but very past few weeks, is that we are of a great opinion in looking at the explosion of the 2 rooftops of the reactor number 2 especially. There were plutoniums in these reactors.
Yes. Okay, why do you think...
The problem is, are they producing plutonium for a space technology or other purposes?
Well, what do you think?
I don't know. I leave it to you. As a nuclear physicist, I know exactly what.
Okay, but you know, you understand that there is a political situation on the planet. Do you also understand that there are various ET races, both underground and above ground, and visitors from other planets that are influencing our governments?
They are live in every corner of this universe, and the universal community is very much like the Earth community. We have what we call the third world nations, and we got what we call advanced nations. We have families who have children in kindergarten, and they have families as professors and doctors. So the ones who understand more advise those who are needed advice. And there are those who abuse the advice trying to be to benefit of their own. And intelligence, as I keep on explaining to my knowledge seekers, is not exclusivity of this planet. And we are part of the structure. So the being here, as I said in one of my talks, this is the third attempt we are making on this planet. And this will be the final time, because the human race has matured enough intellectually to be able to take that leap into the universal community. In the past, it wasn't intellectual, it was self-farming mentality in thousands of years ago. Now, the intelligence among certain number of human race is that much to make that step, and the rest will follow. A man in Africa, or a man in China, or a man in villages of even United Kingdom has no interest in what's happening in galaxies. But certain scientists are, and these scientists will be guided to deliver the right package to the people. And part of our work in Keshe Foundation is that process. To deliver the technology which man can understand in the language of the man.
Okay, Keshe, are you in touch with any beings from other planets? Are they assisting you in your foundation?
Not really, but we are part of the same.
Okay.
The knowledge we give and the knowledge we have put out is part of the structure of the bigger organization. We understand the organization and our teachers for the time, and this is part of the teaching. You call it Messiah to come, there'll be plenty of everything. You call it Messiah will come, will bring honey and fruit and justice. You already have received it. You just got to open your eyes, especially in past 24 hours.
Okay, someone is asking about bioaccumulation. Does that make sense to you?
No. I don't understand anything about biology.
Okay.
Actually, I understand a lot about biology, but from the nuclear plasma side of it, not the physical side of it.
Okay, what is the reaction of the American government? Have they been in contact with you directly, or are you in contact with anyone behind the scenes in the American government who is helping you?
The last contact I had from the American embassy was January of this year, telling me, Mr. Keshe, your request, which was made by NASA for me to give a lecture in NASA, your visa has been denied. American government does not want to see you on its territory. And strange enough, very, very strange enough, I received a private letter from the American president, personal letter. Just 1 second, I'll read it to you. It'll be very interesting. Just 1 second. The letter reads, it's a private letter because it doesn't carry the emblem of the White House. It reads, Dear Mehran, thank you. And at the end writes, thank you again for writing. Sincerely, Barack Obama. And in this letter, he exactly indicates what will be the position of the American government and his job as a president to protect his nation. And how he lays out more or less the way the peace talks with Iran has to go. The letter is dated July 24, 2013. So American government and the American president knows exactly where we are. The letter does not have a reference or anything because it's a private, friendly letter. So, do we know what the Americans want to do? No. But do they know where we are? I presume the White House knows, because when they wanted the key on the 28th of November, this right in front of me, the American Council, the date of the letter is Tuesday, November the 6th, 2012. This is the date of American election. Time 3040. Yeah? And it's from the Embassy of the United States, Belgium. So they know exactly where we are, and they know our hand of peace is open to them, not just for respect to Iran, but respect to all our technologies. Now the truth is, everybody has the key, which they immediately, after receiving it, sent it to NASA, because in this pile of my documents, I have an email which says, I can confirm to you that the USB stick, after exact dates, how many days, was delivered to the office of the administrator of NASA for investigation. So the key you're looking at, your knowledge is equal to the American NASA space technology. They've received now what we have been released in the past 24 hours by Taiwanese people. If you would have released it, they would have said you want to cause problem. Now it's done by the world population, for you, for each other. So it has to be in your hand. And we have to wait to see what NASA does. I've sent an invitation letter to the head of, the part of the propulsion lab, Mr. Nelson, who accidentally, Sterling Allen released his name because the introduction point from this side in this respect to this propulsion conference, which was the visa was supposed to be organized, was done by Sterling Allen. And he, in the last interview, he put the picture of Mr. Nelson from the propulsion lab. He's one of the top guys on his interview, and then he had to edit it in the second edition, but he still kept the first edition. What do you call it? The NASA knows exactly where we are, and I'll read you something to understand why we cannot work with NASA. It says, because we wrote them an email, he said he did not receive it. And it says, you are correct. I was not getting your emails at my work email address. We have software that screens for spam that was most likely screening it out. I will fix that tomorrow. And then in the following email, he says he found out somebody has made false accusation to people in NASA to block any communication to NASA from Keshe Foundation. So somebody in high ranking in NASA, and they found out who it was, and the woman who's supposed to make the claim, she says, I have no clue, somebody's done a false entry. And it is all in black and white.
Sure.
So the scam goes all the way through the system. But the thing is now, very soon, I think we'll use NASA for different purposes, more like a library than a space technology, because they've gathered so much information for a space, and jet propulsion has become obsolete. But we use them for library, and I think very soon, I don't know if you knew it or not, Vietnam has a space ministry. And I had a meeting with them in Belgium very recently.
Okay.
So I think Vietnamese will be in space before NASA.
Excuse me.
Pardon?
But there's a lot of paper moving around that's obscuring your voice. I don't know where it's coming from, but it's being picked up by your mic. Could you repeat what this space ministry is that you're talking about?
Vietnam, the government of Vietnam have a space program. And I met with the scientists in Vietnamese embassy in Brussels before I leave. So the Vietnamese will be in deep space before NASA will, because they have no, NASA still denies, and denial can stay there. But Vietnamese are launching their work. We had ministers of, head of parliamentary of the space of Asian countries who came to the center with a delegation of 22 and took all the samples. I think soon the Asian subcontinents will have more people in the space than the NASA will.
Okay,
because
well,
they are going that way.
we are very aware that NASA is not really the space program. It's a front, what you call a front organization. But I appreciate the people that
But they
do
are
work
very
there.
valuable. They are very valuable. They have a lot of knowledge.
Yes, sure.
They have a lot of knowledge. I have a
Okay,
lot of respect for them.
I understand.
Do you
We
know something? Before we go to another point, maybe I've told you this or your audience know. You know, I'm the only nuclear physicist involved in the space who's banned from NASA forum. They banned me. This is how advanced they are. As long as they can keep their scientists ignorant, it's good for them.
Yes, this is true. And NASA includes JPL and also Caltech and various other organizations as well. Are you aware of? Certainly, you're aware of Nikola Tesla. Do you are you inspired by some of the Nikola Tesla work?
It's ignorant of me to say so. I have never worked or studied about Tesla. I most probably heard of him when I was a student, and I gave a lecture in Germany, and this gentleman came and introduced himself to me as Professor Mile, and he's a well-known Tesla man, and he invited me to Germany the following month. I went there and I stayed with him for 2 days with his wife, and he explained to me Tesla, and I explained to him, and then we invited him to the Keshe Foundation Center, Tesla meets Keshe. And this was a well-publicized lecture in the Keshe Foundation Center. And if you look at Sterling Allen, he turned up all the way from America to be in that lecture, but he arrived late. There's a picture on his website with me, Sterling Allen, and Professor Mile. This is when I understood what Tesla was doing. And I understand the work of Tesla, and Tesla works about matter. And my work is about plasma. It's totally different thing, or is a down scale. When you come to the bottom of the scale of magnetic field, you come to matter. And Tesla understood the work of the matter level magnetic field, where we work with gravitational and magnetic field, which is repulsion and absorption. And Professor Mike calls it a scalar wave. Tesla worked with the magnetic field, which is what we call repulsion, and Professor Mike calls it a scalar wave, it's what we call gravitational. Each one works with different side, but as a plasma, we work with what creates it. So we control what Tesla, in a way, Tesla is like the work of a child making a car when he's 1 or 2 years old, or in the first class. And we are working at the level of, we say, PhDs and professorship, because you cover the whole aspect of the spectrum. But Tesla has done a lot of good work. I've looked at through Professor Miles in some of the things he's done. And in a way, I even have 2 of his systems. I spent 8,000 euro of the foundation money to buy 2 Tesla units from Professor Mike, trying to keep it for people who come here to understand between the Tesla and what we do as a plasma, because they have to understand the difference. We have a power generator and we have a power transformer. And so I understand Tesla, but I've never read anything about Tesla or worked through with this system.
Okay. Thank you for that. So we've been going for quite a while here, and I want to thank you very much. I think that we will need to close this down shortly. Is there anything that you want to say that you have not been able to say at this time, or anything you want to add to what you have to say? And could you also announce again the website URL, an email address where people who are interested in becoming a part of your space exploration program can write to? And can you also, address people as to your plans in the near future?
First of all, if you want to be a member of the Keshe Foundation as a research or want to become a knowledge seeker, we are looking for 25 knowledge seekers for in April, May, or May, June of this year. It's May, June, most probably. We are looking for expertise in a space, some theoretical scientists who can convert the work into language of science that can be repeated. Our website is www.Keshe, which is spelled K for Kilo, E for Edward, S for Sugar, H for Henry, E for Edward, foundation.org. You can read the books which we have published. You can buy the books from the website. We are a spaceship program. We are not a space program, which means we don't burn any fuel through the new technology. We need financial donation support to build the first spacecraft or a spaceship. We have estimated the cost of the first production to be around 50 to 55 million. The people who build it and the organization to build it are within the structure of the Keshe Foundation. We need full support from people around the world to bring to justice the people who at this moment are stopping the foundation, and we have now track record of literally deaths and murder of a scientist, which we can literally put their names into it. If you're an attorney, if you can support us by starting this procedure for the warrant for the arrest, this is Mr. Hans Brackenier, part of the European Space Agency, Mr. Delannoy, part of the Belgium security structure of the Federal Police, and the man who covers them and now has initiated my death order. He's paid for it out of his own pocket. We have the information, we can confirm it. The ex-king of Belgium, whose wife by chance is Italian. We need this. If they are innocent, will be done. There's a very high possibility I'll be arrested or I'll be killed or screen to be made that way to look, or I'll be separated from the knowledge seekers and my wife, and then as they plan to extort whatever they like to, will say we are wrong. I have never refute what I've done. So if they ever come back and say he's apologized for what he's done, it's not me. It's the way they've done it, it's the way they do it. So we need protection from anybody who can protect us to stay free as a foundation. There is a high possibility of my assassination. 3 times has been done, and now they got so frustrated that we released the name. To them, it doesn't matter. It's become an ambition.
Okay.
My word is very simple. We need to bring mankind to one point, and that's to peace without aggression. And if my life will be the cost for it, it's okay. There is no problem with us.
All right. Thank you very much, Keshe. This has been an excellent discussion, and I'm very happy that you were able to make the time to speak with us. Could you announce the workshop on Thursday so that people can also attend that if possible?
The workshop is done as usual. Every Thursday morning we do a workshop. You go to the Keshe Foundation forum and they give you most of the links, or you contact Rick Cramond, which is part of the Keshe Foundation. He organizes all these things for the workshops, and everything is done on the live stream, so you can ask questions or whatever. This week will be about the CO2, which is developed and will be shown most probably by video by the knowledge seekers, which this material is going to Fukushima for testing for nuclear absorption. And the next workshop next week, next Thursday, will be about the medical aspects of the systems for health that we use in space. One thing I have to repeat again, all these things we are developing is not for Earth, it's for space to be able to produce material and look after the people. But as long as we are here till we achieve the building of the what we call the NOAA boats, the spaceship, we have to do things on a human basis.
Okay, thank you for that. And I want to announce that if anyone has a good grasp of what Keshe is saying, in other words, you have some scientific background and you are able to make a transcript, a written in English transcript of this proceedings that we've just had, Camelot would very much appreciate it. Please write to me at carrie@projectcamelot.tv and let me know that you were able to do this. People will always request a transcript. There are some people who find it difficult to understand accents and so on. So I feel that Keshe has been most clear here, but just in case people are having any difficulty understanding some of the statements, we would like to do that.
Can I add one thing? Please
Yes.
translate into other languages that this science doesn't stand within the limit of the English language, please.
Yes, and the beginning is to get it into an English transcript and then to have it translated from there. And if anyone wants to translate immediately into other languages and is able to do so, please also contact us or do so and then send it to us. And we would thank you for your help in that respect. Please do send donations to the Keshe Foundation to support Keshe's work and their hope to build a spaceship. You call it a Noah ship? A Noah ship?
Noah boat.
A Noah boat. Okay. Okay, very good. And other than that, I want to thank you. If there's more information you'd like to get out to the public, Keshe, you're always welcome back. We can always do a live stream at any time. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Carrie. Thank you for your time and your support.
Okay.
Thank you indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. In 2 or 3 governments. They are monitoring it very closely. There are people within their organization who does not agree and releasing information to us in an indirect way. So we are fully aware of the danger, and if any time I do not appear within 24 hours, somebody doesn't hear from me, the members of the knowledge seekers continuously announce when they have seen me last or they know of my presence. If I'm disappeared and you don't hear anything from knowledge seekers within 24 hours, it means my wife is gone and my child will be killed too with it. This is planned and paid for by the King of Belgium personally. We have all the information. We are not playing games. The ex-King of Belgium has financed the whole project.
Okay. What I'm going to do is I've got an email here from Ralph Ring, and I'm going to post this here. He does say to spread it far and wide. I'm going to copy it here if I can, and see if this works on my website. Not on my website, but on Facebook. So hopefully that will work. Yeah, it did. Okay, so if you go to my website and scroll down, you will see.
Can you read me the text? What does it say?
Yes, I can. Hold on one moment. It's fairly involved, and so it basically talks about the USB stick that was released to the public and available for download. He puts your link for download. It says
we have renewed the download. If you go back to Keshe Foundation forum, the Taiwanese Keshe Foundation has renewed because apparently there was some problem with the old links. So it was a mixture of different zips. So they have done, what do you call it? They have corrected it. And so we put what we said, a new link on the forum. But that's not ours because they already passed it on to the other people to load it up. So nothing comes from Keshe Foundation. It's all coming from Keshe Foundation groups around the world. It's nothing to do with our server. We just received it and we put it up, but other people are listening to it or reading it. We already know it's past a couple of servers cannot carry the load. I've been told there's too many downloads. This USB stick is the total disclosure of all the sciences man needs to live in space. And it was given to the governments 2 years ago. And we knew sooner or later one of the governments would release it. If we would have released the technology, we would have become in danger of fighting the technology, different organizations. Now that the technology, that the USB stick, all the patents and blueprints have been released by the Taiwanese government to the Taiwanese scientists in a zip code format on a CD, the situation is between the people amongst the people. It's nothing to do with the foundation. But we have shown part of this process in the Fukushima. We will show the part of the process in the CO2 production this week in the workshop. The problem is that the technology now is in the hand of the people to research independently, financing it myself, and coming back to the British nuclear fuel for material to carry out the first gravitational system. And more or less from April of 2004, all our problems started. Or where we asked the British if I could receive nuclear material to test their first gravitational system. And then through that, I ended up in Belgium through what happened in Farnborough Military Air Show. And we just ended up in the hand of the wrong man. And apparently, a lot of people who end up scientists in Belgium end up in the hand of these wrong people. I have to explain something which just remind me if I forget. We have found, and we have a case in our position regarding murder of a scientist through the same system as me. I'll come back to it if you remind me, if you ask, remind me when I finish.
Okay.
When I landed in Belgium, we released all the documents about 2 weeks ago. In respect to our technology has been evaluated and proven to be correct since 2004, 2005. But we were always under pressure and threats in all sorts and misinformation until we left Belgium. And apparently the whole caboodle has followed us now to Italy. There has been 3 attempts on my life by the Belgium, the police, and the caboodle of assassinating and killing scientists. Every single one has a physical proof, payment of the damage to the car by forcing the car off the road. Second time, 2 people were arrested by the police of Belgium when they were trying to roll us over at high speed. The last time was when they came to our house last year, and we just put 3 suitcases in the car. Me, my wife, and my child. We left for Italy just to escape from assassination, because it's all involved, all of them involved. And this group within the federal police of Belgium are trained, and they have even crook prosecutors who issues papers on behalf of the police. Or the prosecutors are well organized. They have a full circle organized. So the police makes the false files, and their own prosecutor does the case, and then they assassinate or they push scientists to release. All these things have a fingerprint of and ends up with one man, and this man now, as you know, now we come to Italy. Unfortunately, the ex-queen of Belgium is Italian, so we've been followed to here through the same bloodline. We know from the interesting thing is the national securities and people close to all these organizations are reporting to us. We don't go on looking for knowledge, information. In different ways, they are telling us ahead of what they are planning to do, what is planned. There are decent people within this organization, but they still have to live and feed their children and look after their homes. And We've been offered military protection, military camp protection, full protection by a 2-3 government shared by the people. You don't need my website or our forum to distribute the knowledge. My advice to people is very simple. Do not act against your governments. The technology is there to support you with your governments to a new level. We are not here to danger nobody's business or life, even though to the extent that I put out today, and I've been discussing it with our other people, our other scientists in the past 7 days, my request goes to Boeing manufacturers of the jetliner, which has gone disappearing somewhere in China or India, wherever it is. In the Keshe Foundation, we have the knowledge. If anyone at Boeing, or you have any contact with Boeing aircraft builders, have original specimens when this aircraft was manufactured, being a part of a wing, being even a bolt or a nut, has to be of the original production, which part of it is used in the craft which is gone disappeared. Get the sample to us. Through the plasma technology we developed, if we can find the fingerprint of the structure, we can trace exactly where the plane is landed or where it is, in the sea, on the land, anywhere. It can be across another planet. We can still find a connection to it. This is how advanced this technology is. So this is why a lot of people don't like what we are releasing, but in fact, one of the advantages of it now is that the way we showed with Fukushima, we can extract cesium or all the radioactive materials. We have a number of active reactors here which can copy the magnetic fingerprint, gravitational fingerprint of the material which is in that aircraft. If we can match it with our system, we can link into it. It's literally, we can make the magnet of the copy of the material in the craft. And if we can copy that magnetic gravitational field, like 2 magnets, our system will match and connect with other systems. So we can find out where it is. Is the craft landed? Is the craft lost? Is it hiding somewhere? Is it in the deep oceans? This is one of the major breakthroughs in the world of science. I developed this technology in case in the future the spaceships disappear by mistake in the space, somewhere in these galaxies or other galaxies, somewhere in the universe, that we can find them. So for the first time, we offer the technology to Boeing or the government of China or the government of wherever the passengers could be. We need a copy, a substantial piece that we can fingerprint it magnetic gravitationally. Hopefully, if it's not found, it can be locked into. With what this means now, we have the potential and capability of making magnets of any material. So, I asked Kerry if you know or anybody else knows anybody in Boeing. We tried to get in touch. We have a contact point in Boeing called Mr. Dallas Benhoff. If we can raise him on Monday, we will do so. We should be able within time, if our systems work.
This is Carrie Cassidy from Project Camelot, and we are recording this. I advise everyone who's listening to record this as well. We're talking to MT Keshe, and he is an Iranian, originally a nuclear engineer, and has been working in both Belgium and now in Italy on free energy, and we're going to be talking all about that. His life is in danger, and so this is a very important broadcast. And I do want people to know that his documents are available, and there is a link here on the screen. If you're looking at live stream right now, you should see the link on there. I've posted it to Facebook. My website has been taken down. My webmaster Tommy just uploaded those documents to our website 1 hour ago, and the website was taken down, but that link, which is on the cloud, as you can see by the name of the link, you'll see it says Project Camelot Portal, Cloud, Data, Public, and that is a place where you can download his information. This is information about free energy. Obviously, they don't want it out there. His life has been threatened. I have received an email from Ralph Ring, and many people will know Ralph Ring, the Ralph Ring interview on Project Camelot, and very close. I'm going to basically see if I can read a bit of it here. He has put out to, I guess, his, it looks like to his website or to his audience, Ralph Ring being a free energy activist, inventor from way back, has now been is endorsing Keshe's work and putting this email out in support of Keshe. There is some description here, and from what I can tell, and it's kind of complex. So what I'll do is, Keshe, I want you to see this email. So I will. Will you still be able to get email at your end, I wonder?
You can send it to my private account. Wins has it.
Okay. Well, at this moment, since we're live, if it's a private account, I suppose you don't want it broadcast, correct?
No, please.
Okay. Well, then let me. What I'm going to do is post this here.
Don't forget that. So let me explain to you that my Keshe Foundation account was hacked over 3 months ago.
Oh.
And they downloaded about 30,000 emails. We don't destroy any emails on our website, on our, on our emails. And we've been monitoring what they're doing with it. They've been reading it. And on what they have been reading, they're trying to organize what we call a kangaroo court, and at the same time for me, my kidnapping and hostage my wife, and then all sorts of things which is planned for my child. We are monitoring the whole system. The Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers will be kept in the dark, and apparently I'm to disappear for a long time. And my wife, in presence of me, we are supposed to witness the torture of our child till we stop the process. We are very much into this. Our security people are aware of it. They're negotiating for my life. We work the right way, or we can get the support from governments to run the system, to find where this craft is, exactly to millimeters. So this is one thing which this technology is offering at this moment. I have the systems here in Italy, and we offer it to the, to the people of the world. This can, if it can be done in the future, even the children which have gone lost with their clothing, we can create, it's like a fingerprint that we have. The fingerprint cannot be from two places, and you can lock in. Is more accurate than any radio wave, because it's like a mother and a child. When the child is born, doesn't matter where the mother lives and how long the mother lives, the child has a magnetic gravitational connection to the mother. The same thing goes with this craft. We would like to get involved in this. I'm sure our knowledge seekers will have a very interesting time to match copy the aircraft. Maybe even if there is a fuel which is of the same tank as the craft was fueled last week, that can be analyzed too. We need a live part piece of the system. So this is something which I wanted to explain, and the technology is available. And it's been made not for this accident. It's been developed by me years ago. It's not even in the patents which are released today or this week. So it's what is known as zero, what do you call it? It's zero time communication system. You can use it to lock into the magnetic gravitational field of your craft. In the future, when we start building crafts, a piece will be kept for such a purpose, for indefinite, till that if ever a unit disappears somewhere in the opens of the spans of the universe or a galaxy, we can always find it and bring it back. So for the first time, the way we offered our Fukushima nanotechnology in a simple way, this technology is available to those 230 odd parents, children, fathers who are looking and waiting for the mom and dad on board of that craft to turn up, or at least they get a closure where what's happening to it. The knowledge is with the Keshe Foundation. It belongs to humanity, and we are prepared to immediately release it and share it, or ask for the Boeing engineers to come to us, or we go to them to analyze how we can develop this technology directly with them within a matter of days for them to find out where this craft is.
Okay, Kesh, we understand that you're under threat right now, and I think that for the people that have not heard your other broadcast, could you outline what the situation is that you're living under right now in terms of how the threat started? If you could begin with perhaps they started when you were back in Belgium, if I understand correctly, and
my threats goes. The point is the accumulation of a lot of things. It goes back as far as 1980s when I left the nuclear industry, and